Hello, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Claudine. I want to thank Miss Kelly for allowing me to read for you guys a very uh, absolutely amazing book. So we're gonna start reading The One and Only Bob. I've heard so much about you guys already reading The One and Only Ivan, and I would love to read to you guys The One and Only Bob. You guys look so good. I remember when I used to be younger, reading such amazing books during my free times in school, and it was just amazing. And with this pandemic, I understand you guys are going through a lot of stuff, and it's good to have time to relax. So it's my pleasure to read to you guys, and I hope that you guys will enjoy this book as I'm reading along. So we're going to start with chapter one. Say, start getting cozy, and we will be reading. Confession. Look, nobody ever accused me of being a good dog. I bark at empty air. I eat a cat litter. I roll in garbage to enhance my aroma. I harass innocent squirrels. I hug the couch. I lick myself in the presence of company. I'm no saint, okay? And while I'm at it, I may or may not have eaten a pepperoni pizza with anchovies when nobody was looking. Also, I may or may not have eaten a coconut vanilla birthday cake when nobody was looking. Also, I may not have eaten a Thanksgiving turkey except for the stuffing, way too much rosemary. Well, except for the stuffing, way too much rosemary when nobody was looking. Nobody looking. That seems to be the common thread. As they say on the crime show, motive and opportunity. Robert. Name's Bob. And a month of uncertain heritage. Definitely some Chihuahua, with a smidgen of Papillon on my father's side. You're probably thinking I'm some wimpy lapdog, the kind you see poking out of an old lady purse like a hairy keychain. But size ain't everything. It's swagger, attitude. You gotta have the moves. Probably I should be named Bruiser or Bam or Bandit, but Bob's what I got, and Bob will do me just fine. Julia named me. A long time ago. She's my girl. She calls me Robert when I get on her nerves. Happens pretty often, to be honest. Numero uno. There's an old saying about us dogs. Goes like this. It's no coincidence that men's best friend can't talk. Let me tell you something. If we could talk to people, they get an earful. You ever hear anyone mentions men being dog's best friend? Nope. Didn't think so. We have always figured it. In the end of the day, you gotta be your own best friend. Look out for numero uno. I learned that one the hard way. That's not to say I don't have a best pal. I do. Gorilla. Name of Ivan. Big guy, and I go way back. Gorilla and dog. Yep, I know. You don't see that every day. Long story. I love that big old ape. Ditto little elephant friend. Ruby. They're the best. How we met. The first time I met Ivan, I was a homeless puppy. Desperate, starving, all alone. It was the middle of the night and I slipped into the mall where Ivan lived in a cage. I wanted a bit, grateful for the warmth, confused by the weird assortment of sleeping animals I found there, checking every trash can for anything edible. There was a small hole in the corner of Ivan's enclosure. He was fast asleep, cuddled up with a warm, stuffed animal that looked like a weary gorilla. He was snoring, and man, that guy snored like a pro. In his open palm was a chunk of banana, and I still got shivers when I think about this. I ate it right out of his hand. Guy could squeeze his fingers shut and I would pop like a puppy balloon, but he just kept on sleeping. And then, more shivers. I'm either a maniac or the bravest dog on the planet. Probably a little both. I hop up onto that big, round, furry tummy of his. That's right. I climbed Mount Ivan. Crazy, I know. I have no idea what I was thinking. Maybe I was so exhausted I went a little bonkers. Maybe he just looked so warm and cozy that I figured it was worth taking a chance. I did my bed boogie. Dogs don't feel right till we do a quick dance before settling. Once I had finished so, I laid down in a little puppy lump and rolled the waves of that tummy like a puny boat on a great brown sea. When Ivan opened his eyes the next morning, he didn't seem surprised in the least to find a puppy snoozing on his belly. He refused to move until I woke up. I think he was as glad as I was to have found a new friend. The amazing history of man's best friend. Before long, me and Ivan were best buddies. We're an unlikely pair, sure. Ivan calm and serene, a philosopher, an artist. I wish I could be more like that. No one's ever accused me of being level-headed. Hot-headed, maybe. Hot-headed, sure. And I can't talk pretty like Ivan can. I'm a street dog. After all, and I'm proud of it. Still, we click in a way I never had with humans. Man's best friend. No way. Gorilla best friend. You bet. Seems to me the first time I ever heard that phrase, man best friend, was while I was watching TV with Ivan. Back in the day, Ivan had this little television, and we watched a lot of stuff together. Old movies, western, cartoon, you name it. Poor guy was stuck in a cage, didn't have a lot else to do except throw me balls at gaping humans. Anyways, me and Ivan big fans of the tube, cat food commercial, pro bowling, dancing with the stars. What's not to like? Once we watched this special on the Nature Channel, it was called The Amazing History of Man's Best Friend. Show was all about famous dogs. There was rescue dogs, therapy dog, war dogs, fire dogs, movie dogs, this dog, that dogs. And between you and me, most of them were just plain overachievers. Then they get to this dog named Hatch something or other, Hatcheto, maybe? Seeing his owner died for the record, I object to the word owner. But we'll set that aside for now. And Hatch something or other sat around for over 9 years in the same spot at the same train station, day after day, waiting for him to return. Thing is, the narrator guy was blabbing on and on about this dog, really over the top stuff. How loyal, how loving, break out the Kleenex, blah blah, wah wah, man's best friend. They made a statue of this dog, I kid you not. A statue of the dog who sat around 9 years waiting for a dead guy. In my opinion, that dog was a ninny, a numbskull, a nincompoop. I'm yours. Let me tell you about being a man's best friend. Being a man's best friend can mean a lot of things. Companionship, belly rub, tennis balls. But it can also mean a dark, endless highway and an open truck window. It can mean the smell of wet winds as hands grab the box you're in with your brothers and sisters and you go sailing into the unkind nights and still, crazy as it sounds, you're thinking, but I'm yours, I'm yours, I'm yours. No one. That's what being man's best friend can get you. A black highway, an empty box, and no one in the world but you. Early days. I don't remember much about my early puppy days. It was 3 years ago, but sometimes it feels like 300. Mostly I recall fighting with my sibs for the primo meal spot, lots of screaming and squeaking, everything soft and milk smelling immovable like we were on one great big complicated animal. I never met my dad, and my mom didn't say much about him, except that he was trouble. Mom had a beautiful fawn coat, chihuahua, some this, some that, nice, messy bloodline. Much rule. Mom crooned to us, told us stories, laid down the law. I wonder if she knew she didn't have much time to prepare us for the world. We were born in a dark place, probably under some porch stairs, I suspect, since I remember the sound of boots plodding up and down the biting and ugly smells of human feet. They called my mom Rio, and they fed her most days, though sometimes she had to fend for herself. She never showed fear toward them or respect. Indifferently, I guess you'd say. Unless they tried to handle one of us, she growled then, hoping to make it clear that we were hers and hers alone. I myself got picked up a couple of times, the hands reached in, grabbed. They were rough and smelled of strange scent, bitter and meaty. My mom growled made me fearless, and I wriggled and yipped. The hands shoved me back to the warm place where I could sleep and drink and dream in safety. Still, I understood in my simple puppy way that dogs belong to humans and that was how it would always be. Boss. My mom wasn't much for names. She had a lot of letters, I guess she ran out of ideas. My brother first was Nash and firstborn Runt. My youngest boy was the last, Dot. Had this little spots on her back. And Yip was always complaining. I was rowdy. Goes without saying, and that left my older sister, we called her Boss. Boss was small but mean. With a distinctive sharp sounding bark, she could outmaneuver any of us to the best spot for dining. I admire her grit, even she did get on my nerves. When we got a bit older, less blind, more cocky, I fought her off occasionally, but mostly boss one. She was fearless, that pup, alone. The truck happened without warning one night. They threw us in a box, left my mom behind. I can still hear her frantic howl. I lay in a muddy ditch. It was cloudy night, nearly freezing. Even the moon had abandoned me. And the smells, ugh, everything so wild and unknown. Animals with big jaws and bigger appetites. Birds that swoop in to kill, death, and life all mixed up together. I searched for my siblings until the truth became clear. I was utterly alone. Cars. The next morning, I began my slow journey, moving through the tall, wet grass, my limbs stiff from the cold. Now and then, I drink from a mud puddle or gnaw on some grass. But evening was wobbly with hunger and thirst. I followed the highway. Every time a forward creature rolled by, I froze in fear. And yet, and this is what slays me, I knew that cars meant humans. And human meant the possibility of living, just as much as it meant the possibility of dying. The owl. Darkness had fallen when it came out of nowhere. The owl. A shadow in a shadow. They don't make a sound, not a sound. It's quite impressive when you think about it. Luck. Just as her talons, those marvelous weapons, raked my fur, I caught my right front foot in a small hole and stumbled. If she'd gotten hold of my body, I wouldn't be here. But all she managed to do was grab my tail. Only time in my life I've regretted my handsome hindquarters. I was airborne, hanging upside down, dizzy and dazzled, and just crazy enough to think, hey, I'm actually flying. Before the terror hit full force, I caught a whiff of other animals below. Later, I found out they were pocket gophers. But back then, I just knew I was smelling something completely foreign. The owl must have decided the gophers would make a more satisfying meal. She let her loose grip, and I plummeted to the earth. More luck. Maybe it was my puppy fat or my soft bones or my incredible good fortune. But I didn't die. Didn't even break anything. I've flown twice in my short life and lived to tell the tale. Well, I found a small hollow at the base of a fallen tree, poked my nose in, and got swat and hissed from a grouchy raccoon. Kept going, wailing, whimpering, light ahead, no strange smells. Kept going, kept going. It's amazing how much the sheer will not to die can keep you moving. Exit 8. I finally came to a small road curving off the main highway. Exit 8 turned out to be a big billboard overhead that had a picture of a terrifying animal on it. Of course, I didn't know what a billboard was. Didn't know that the scary animal was a gorilla, let alone that he would become my dearest friend. But something told me to follow the off-ramp, and eventually I ended up at the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan. History. I made it to the mall, slept in a dirty hay by some garbage bins. The next night, I found that hole in Ivan's cage, stole his banana, slept on his belly, and the rest, as they say, is history. For 2 years, I lived at that city old place that was part mall, part circus, and all crummy. But there was nothing compared to Ivan. He spent 27 lousy years there, and our dear friend Stella, an old circuit elephant, was stuck there for almost all of her life. When Stella passed away, it nearly broke Ivan's heart. I tried like crazy to get him through those dark days. But what really saved him, I think, was Ruby, a baby elephant friend. Before Stella died, Ivan promised her he'd get Ruby out of that awful place, and to my amazement, he actually put it off. Ivan and Ruby had a bunch of other pals, ended up going to different places, zoos and sanctuary that knew how to take care of them. They're with others of their own kind and they're loved and well cared for. It's been over a year now since we all moved and they seem so much happier. Me, I lucked out. My girl Julia, whose dad had worked at the mall, decided her family needed a dog. Who was I to argue? 2 square meals, my own bed, or the belly rubs I could beg for? What dog and his right mind would say no to that? The best part is, we didn't live far from Ivan and Ruby. I get to see them all the time. I'm glad they're nearby, and I'm thrilled they started end so well. Really, it's a solid solution. But it's not a perfect one. Tennis ball. The way I understand things is like this. We live on a lonely ball called Earth, and humans have basically been throwing it against the wall for so long that the poor old ball is falling apart. It's like me with a tennis ball, chewing away until it's nothing but pieces of slimy rubber that tastes like raw, slimy rubber. And that means there aren't as many places left for wild animals. Seems there are good zoos and good sanctuaries and bad sanctuaries, just like there are good families and bad dog families. The good places are trying to keep wild species healthy and safe. They don't want to endanger animals to go away forever. They also don't want the earth to turn into a slimy, dilapidated tennis ball. Although honestly, slimy rubber doesn't taste half bad. You should try it sometime. The thing is, I would give anything to see my dear pal Ivan deep in the jungles of Africa, where he was born. Or to see Ruby running across the savannah with a herd of elephants, her big old ears flapping in the wind. I'd give up a mile high pile of bacon cheeseburger to see that happen. I really would. But it ain't happening. I get that. And so do they. When you're an animal, it's help to be a realist. A realist. Chapter 2. Dream. This morning I wake up in a cozy bed. Way too early for Julia to make me breakfast. She and her mom and her dad are still asleep, and even their guinea pig are silent. My belly grumbles, and once again I curse my tumbleness. Women are one big design flaw. The inferior noses, the instructable humdrum drums, and don't get me started on the adore. But the opposable thumb idea, yeah, that was a nice upgrade. The games I could open, the number I will conquer. Anyways, I feel worried of. Worry a waste of time, and it doesn't fit with my tough guy act. But sometimes I can't seem to help myself. Before I woke up, I'd been dreaming about Ivan and Ruby and Stella. It wasn't a nice dream, a fun and run told twitcher. Nope, this one was a nightmare, a bad one. We were swimming, all four of us, in a black, raging river. For some reason, I was in the lead. And I kept looking back, telling them I was gonna save them. Me save them? Two elephants and a gorilla? As I paddled like mad, the voice faded. I looked behind and they vanished. And then I heard it, a faint bark. That bark. I woke up then, like I always do. I did an all over shake trying to toss off the stench of nightmare that clung to me like a shampoo after a bath. I told myself to chill, get a grip, stop worrying about nothing. Yes, some primitive part of my brain, the wolf in me, maybe is on the edge. A lot can go wrong in the moment left to chance, the blink of an eye, the bounce of a bone. There's so many ways the world can find it to fail you. The smell of a storm. By the time everyone else wakes up, I've calmed down, but the wind outside sure hasn't. It's an early fall Saturday, gusty with scraps of sun, clouds bouncing off each other like bunnies in a basket, messages on the wind pouring in from everywhere, from dogs making their daily rounds, from feral cats, from anxious raccoons. Basically, everybody's asking the same thing. What is the deal with the weather today? I already know. Weather Channel was on last night with a screen full of big white cotton candy looking swirl. Julia's dad, George, has already typed up several windows. Sarah, her mom, packed an emergency bag just in case we have to evacuate. Another hurricane is on its way, third this season. Not as big as the last couple, but slow moving. I've seen the routine, I know the ropes. Once breakfast is done, I sit on the couch in the living room, waiting impatiently for Julia to come home so she can take me in our daily stroll. She has a dog walking service, and she's out walking other dogs. I get my own private walk because she's my own private girl. I can practically taste the storm coming through the open window. The back of my throat tingles, the metallic edge, the frizzy energy. But it's more than that. It is as if the air is up to no good, sneaking up on the world and looking for trouble. On the poetry of stink. Of course, not everybody can smell what I'm smelling. My nose is a zillion times more powerful than a human. Those are expert at odor. Students of stink. We analyze the air the way humans read poetry, searching for invisible truth. And we don't just smell the good and bad stuff that people notice with their substandard schnauzes. The unusual suspect, popcorn and lilacs, and freshly sharpened pencil. Diapers and Brussels sprout and freaked out skunks. No, our nose get it all. The whole shimmery double rainbow in April. Humans, they're lucky to get a cloudy day in November. We get that molecule of roast beef dancing on the wind 50 miles from the tidy kitchen where it just slid out of the oven. We get the cherry lollipop under the back seats of the Honda 16 cars up on the highway at rush hour. We get things humans can't even dream of getting. But the one who find a miracle earthquake baby cut up in her crib under tons of rubble. We are the one who find lost hikers in the wilderness after a quick whiff of a sweaty sock. We can even tell when someone is sick. We can smell seizures and cancer and migraines and headaches. Try getting your guinea pig to do that. We smell feelings too. Sad has a sharp scent with an undertone of sweetness. Sad smells like being lost in a winter forest as the sun goes down. And happy? Happy is the best, but there's a touch of wistfulness around the edge. Happy smells like bacon ice cream served up in an expensive leather shoe. You're going to love every minute of it, but you know it won't last forever. The news. Sometimes when Julia and I go for walks, I'll break at the corner at the bits of fresh news, and she'll tug and say, "Come on, Bob, there's nothing there." Oh, but there is. Here's the thing about poop and pee. I get that humans are not into them. I see the bathroom door shut tight, the embarrassed, downcast gazes. You guys are totally missing out. There's a whole lot of hiding in your average pee mail. When dogs want to share the latest gossip, we just wait until nature calls. You'll be amazed what we can learn during a quick bathroom break. People read the news, check the TV, browse the web. I lend you over Sorry, guys. Give me a second, please. Okay. I leaned over a fire hydrant and inhaled the whole wild world. My ears, by the way, are almost as remarkable as my nose. I pick up all kind of things humans can hear. What we do with our noses and our ears is kind of like taking a big old knot and loosening it up, separating onto the strand, unbraiding things. People smell a reeking pile of trash and dumpsters. We smell a dollop of cream cheese, a hint of peanut butter, a smattering of Fruit Loops. People hear the roar of crowd in stadium. We hear a strain of wimpy 4-year-olds, a whisper of worried superfan, a note of grumpy hot dog vendor. Man, dogs are cool. Snickers. While I watch from my perch on the back of the couch, Julia passes by on the sidewalk. George asks her to keep her dog walking route close to home in case the weather changes. She's wearing a shiny purple raincoat and leading three dogs, a goofy mutt named Winston, a timid dachshund named Oscar Mayer, and her, Snickers. An old nemesis of mine, Snickers is a fluffy white poodle with delusion of grandeur. A big snooty pain in the puffball. Oh, that push drives me crazy. Mutual dislike goes back to my early days as a stray. Stucker was a fancy paper slip on pink satin pillow kind of girl. Her owner, Mac, ran the mall where I lived with Ivan and Ruby. That's where I first encountered Snickers. She chased me mercilessly. And beneath the fuzzy facade, I was suspected there was a little, I don't know, spark there. Anyways, after the mall closed down, Snickers being Snickers landed on her feet. Mac married an older widow lady with more money than sense, and she dosed on that ridiculous poodle. Mac's too lazy to walk Snickers himself, so he hired Julia to do it. Looking good, Snick baby, I called through the open window, and she gives me her curled lip, squinty eyed face, which, come to think of it, is pretty much how she always looks. As usual, Snickers dressed to the max. She's wearing a pink poncho, a sparkly rain hat, and tinsy pink boots. Those boots were made for Munkins. For Munkins, yeah. Added for good measure. It feels good, giving her some grief, But before I can really relish the moment, another annoying acquaintance of mine appears. Nutwit. Nutwit, the gray squirrel who lives in the live oak in our front lawn, jumped to a lower branch, looking at me with barely concealed pity. I hate pity, especially the barely concealed kind. I don't know why you taunt her, he says. You're hardly in a position to talk, Bob. You're a Snickers. Come on, come over here to the window and say that, so you can, what, drool me to death? Are you aware that my best friend is a gorilla? I asked. You make fantastic ape chow, dude. Not we reach for a dangling acorn and yanks it free. I thought gorilla were vegetarians. I even eat termites, I said. He might make an exception for you. Face it, Bob. You're soft. You're one step away from your own pink rainbow. He has a point, says Minnie, one of the family guinea pig from her cage next to the TV. No, he doesn't, says Moo, her cage mate. Yes, he does, Minnie squealed. Doesn't. Minnie pauses. Wait, you tricked me. The guinea pig rarely agreed on anything. Nutwit leaps over to the window's ledge, a corn in power. He presses his tiny twitchy nose to the screen. You couldn't last a day out here, Bob. Some of us have to live by our wows. Hey, I lived to the street longer than you've been alive. Not with nibble his acorn. He's quite the prissy either. Whatever you say, Bob. I say scram. Fine. Hint taken. Anyway, storms en route. I should be stocking up my nut stash while I can. Now it gives me a wise look. That's how we do it in the real world. He skims up with an acrobatic flourish. Squirrels never do a simple jump when a quadruple backflip cartwheel is an option. You're full of it, I said to nobody in particular. We are full of it, says Minnie. Yes, we're extremely full of it, says Mo. And they popcorn in agreement. Guinea pig hop up and down when they're happy. It's called popcorning, and it's totally ridiculous. You're happy. Wag your tail like a real mammal. I am not soft, I muttered, nosing my protruding belly. I leap with effort off the couch, then I head to the bathroom for a good long drink from the water bowl of power. Wow, this book is really good, guys. This book is really good. Spoiled. I know Nutwit has a point. I become a creature of habit, spoiled after a stretch of being my own dog. For a long time, I was a Bob the Beast, cunning and streetwise. As a stray, I lived off leftovers at the mall while Snickers dined on her fancy paint kibble. Man, how I love that cotton candy stuck on the floor. The unexpected UFOs. The end of ketchup covered hot dog, scattered under the bleachers like, I don't know, big toes or something. I've been offered to share his square food with me, and Stella and Ruby were always ready to pass along a carrot or an apple, but I refuse. I need to stay in shape, stay tough, stay true to my wild nature. Okay, so maybe every now and then I'll sneak a banana chunk from Ivan breakfast. But if then things changed, I became civilized, domesticated, a pet. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely some perks. Julia, who's an artist painting my name on the football, she gave me this wonderful mushy blanket that kind where you can bed with you forever till it's squished to perfection and you can curl up just so. I love that blanket. But I simply cannot sleep without Nut Tug. I've been regularly old toy gorilla. Cause just when I get my blanket and Nut Tug imprinted in the right amount of old bob, Julia's mom got the unthinkable. Put them in the washing machine and remove every last bit of me. There are other indigenites I tolerate. The daily walk on tug of war string after going stringless my whole life. The attempt to treat me like that would ever happen. The kisses and cuddling. Well, the cuddling okay, I suppose. But the kissing I just don't get. If you want to kiss your dog, why not give him a big old lick on the face and be done with it? Anyways, so what if I've gotten a little spoiled? It's sad stuff around the edges. There's a difference between being soft and being afraid, being a coward. Okay, guys, we will stop there for now. I'm loving this book so far. Remember, this book is called The One and Only Bob. It is a sequel from The One and Only Ivan. Stay tuned for part two. I hope you guys are enjoying this book as much as I am. Please, if you have always make time to read. Other than this book, when you're at home, read, study. It's good for you guys. It's good. When you grow up, you'll understand. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you guys next time for part two. Thank you, Miss Kelly, again for allowing me to read. It's a pleasure to read to everyone out there. Thank you. See you in part two.